What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be building some arrows because it's 2 months from bow season, and yeah, I haven't got that done yet because I've been waiting to film it, and it's finally quit raining today, so I guess I better get that done. I've already put the wraps on it. It's kind of common sense. You just kind of like lay the arrow down and roll it on there, and yeah, I'm going to get to tuning these arrows, and I'm going to show you how I like to do it. If you like this video, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and let's get into it. First thing you want to do is figure out what you want to shoot, your insert and broadhead combination. I will be shooting a 50 grain brass insert with a 175 grain broadhead, so it's a 175 grain field tip. And to bare shaft tune the arrows, the best thing that I like to, that I found to use is I'll take a hot glue gun and hot glue these things down into the bottom of the shaft. That way all you have to do is put a little bit of heat to it and you can pull it right back out. It'll be good for a couple shots. It won't come up out of the arrow. Or you can see how your field tips and see if it's too weak or too strong. The next thing you need to know is how to tell what is too weak and what is too strong. Too stiff of a spine, the arrow as it comes out of the bow will kick to the right. So as the arrow passes, it's not being able to bend around the shelf enough to get and fly straight, so it's kicking to the right. So a knock right indication is too stiff. When an arrow is too weak, it kicks to the left, and this is on a right hand shooter. Now if you're left-handed, it would be opposite. Left equals stiff, right equals weak. Before I would recommend using bare shaft tuning, make sure you have a very repeatable form. If you don't have a repeatable form and you go out here and you bare shaft tune these arrows, you're going to start seeing too mixed of results. The slightest little bit of variation is going to show a different indication of spine. Maybe if you don't pull back and activate full back tension as you normally do, or you think about it too much and activate more than what you normally shoot, you're going to end up making a spine that's too stiff. Now these are gold tip traditional 500 grain arrows. I'm going to be pushing them out of a 50-pound bow at 28 inches. I'm probably drawing just above 28. So I'll probably be pushing around 50 pounds with a 50 grain insert and 175 grain tip. 500 spine arrows are usually, I only have to cut off about that much of it, maybe less, and I should get the tune that I want. That's how it is on my other bows. I don't know about this one. This is a different bow. I've never tuned arrows to it, so we're getting ready to see how this thing shoots and how it performs so we can get everything ready for season. You also want to tune your knock point, but you should have done that whenever you got the bow in. Knock high being knock high, knock low being knock low. And then you just move your knocking point up if it's too low, move it down if it's too high. There you go. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get everything set up to start tuning these arrows. The best way to watch, you can shoot them into the target. However, as it goes into the target, it wants to straighten itself up. The best thing to do, any phone has a slow motion version on it. I usually get somebody that I'm with, or if I can set it up on my tripod or whatever, and get somebody to film it to see which way this arrow is kicking. My mother's home right now, so I'm gonna go get her and she's gonna help me out. And yeah, let's get everything set up. Our hot glue gun is now set up and ready to go. Plugged in, sorry for the mess in advance. All you're gonna do is you wanna put just a little bit, hurry up and shove that down through there, press it down, let it cool for just a second, and you're ready to go shoot your first tune through it. What I'm gonna do, grab this. This is probably the messiest way I could find to do it, but you know what? We'll get through this. So you just wanna take some hot glue, put on there. I mean, I'm talking about cake a bunch on there. And then before it melts, you want to be quick about it. Put it down on there. Press it down as good as you can. Maybe hit it a couple times. Boom, there you go. Once it cools down, you can go ahead and peel that off, and that'll be fine. And then yeah, you're ready for your first shot to see if it's tuned. Okay, so if I can figure out how to get that onto the video, I will show you this. But as this arrow went through the air, it kicked to the left. So this spine is too weak, and that's where I want it, because I want to cut some off of this. Kicked a fair amount to the left, like it completely missed the target. It kicked to the left enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut about 1 inch off of it. Now, also something I forgot to mention earlier, one thing you want to do is when you shoot your bow, you want to make sure that it's set up the exact way. Whenever I hunt with this bow in the fall, I'm going to have my quiver on it. My rest and side plate is already on there. And everything is, I put 2 arrows in both sides to kind of replicate some of the weight. And you want the same string, same knocking point, everything that you were going to use this fall when you tune these arrows. I got a pretty good knock left indication. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up, pull it out with a pair of pliers, and then I'll probably cut about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch off of it and try it again. Okay, so all I did was apply a little bit of heat, pull that out, and now I am going to cut it. To cut it, I have a arrow cutter, homemade arrow cutter that we've made. You can also use a Dremel with a cutoff wheel or anything like that on there. Let's get to cut this. This is the arrow cutter that I have. As you can see, all you have to do for this one is plug it in and it'll start working. Over here's our little slide to put where you want the arrow at. And yeah, that's going to cut about 1/4 of an inch off. Well, that's going to cut about 3/4 of an inch, and that's where I'm going to start at. So yeah, let me get this cut. Alright, so I just cut this arrow down about 3/4 of an inch. This should be starting to get pretty close. So I'm going to slap this insert with hot glue back in there, and we're going to give it another try. Alrighty, so that shot there was still a little bit weak, kicked to the left. I am going to cut a little bit more off of it. Might go 1/2 inch again this time, because it still kicked a good bit. Maybe 1/4, and yeah, see what that does. One thing I will note is that once you start getting close to it shooting straight, start taking less off of it. I went from, the first one was about 3/4 of an inch. Then I took a 1/2 inch off, and now I'm only taking off about 1/4 inch at a time. And if this one still shoots weak, I will take 1/8 of an inch off rather than 1/4. That last one, I just went outside and shot it, shot straight. After the last one, I knew how much I needed to take off, and it is hot. It's like 90 degrees, like 80% humidity. I am sweating like crazy. I'm dying. I'm trying to get this done. Sorry for a little bit of lack of footage, but I have to get this done, and I'm dying. I let my mom go inside. I knew how much I need to cut off of it, and I could watch it fly straight with my naked eye. So now that the first one is now cut, now it's time to cut the rest of them. I've cooled off a little bit, but I'm already starting to sweat again, just getting everything set up here. The next step in what you need to do is you need to place your inserts into the arrow. The best trick I have found for this is to take something small that'll fit up into the end of the arrow like that. Take a piece of sandpaper, wrap it around the end of it, stick it in there, and scrape up the insides of it just a little bit. You don't have to do it a lot, just a little bit. Feel a scratch into it, and that will make it hold that much better. You can use heat melt glue or something like that, but I like to use epoxy. All you've got to do is give the inside of it a little scratch, come out here to the outside, give the outside a little bit of a scratch, and it holds so much better. So yeah, I'm gonna get my epoxy mixed up and give these a scratch and start setting these in. Alrighty guys, it is the next day. I've got all 6 arrows here, and inserts are all glued in and dried. One thing is if you do use epoxy or something like that, sometimes like if you get any on any of the threads or whatever, they'll be a little bit tough to get off. Sometimes you have to take pliers and start to unscrew them. but I got them all unscrewed with just my hand. And if you do get any into the back of the insert, you're probably screwed. You'll probably have to heat it up, take it off, and redo it. Now we're on to the fletching process, and I have my fletchings that I dyed the other day. I like to use Fletch Tight. It's just what I've always used. Let's get into the fletching process. Alrighty guys, this is a fletching jig that me and my dad have used for forever. I don't know how old this thing is. I don't know where you could get it. I just kind of stole it from my dad because he shoots a lot of arrows that he buys already with vanes. What you want to do is you want to get your fletchings ready. Here are the blue fletchings. For something like this, I like to have these little marks. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little mark right there above where my finger's at. And that way you know that you're putting it in the same spot every single time. That's kind of like my favorite way to do it. And that way I can put this right in there where that dot is. When you use Fletch Tight, you want to give it a generous amount if you're using feathers. For vanes, you can kind of get away with not using a lot. If you're using Fletch Tight for fletching arrows, you really want to give it a good amount. So I put the arrow in here. The knot goes into a little notch back there. Yeah, it'll hold it in place, and then as you go to spin this, it's got these little notches and it clicks. And when it clicks, you know that you're in all three positions. And remember, I've got 12 blue fletchings and 6 pink fletchings. So 2 blue fletchings per arrow and 1 pink fletching per arrow. I'm gonna show you how to use this glue, then I'll get the rest of these started. So what I'll do is take it, and you wanna give it a generous amount as you go down. Well, I don't know why there's a huge bubble there. But anyway, you want to give it a generous amount as you go down. There you go. You got glue on there. Now all you got to do is bring it over here. I like to hold on to the arrow, slide it down on there. I like to push back on the arrow and push down on this. That makes sure it is seated in place. We've got 6 more to do. I'll catch you here in a second. It's actually been a few days, but I ran out of Fletch Tight. I had to order more and then wait for it to come in, but it finally come in, and I just want y'all to check these arrows out. These are probably the best that I've done ever since I've started making arrows and building my own arrows, and this is probably the best set that ever come out with. I've shot broadheads through them, made sure they're shooting good. The only extra thing that I would tell you that you would need to do is to put a drop of Fletch Tight or super glue or whatever right at the bottom of the fletching to kind of create like a little glue bubble there, to where it won't start peeling the fletching up as it comes across the shelf or if it goes through anything. But with that, I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and like, subscribe, and stay tuned because I'll be in Kentucky hunting velvet bucks in about 2 weeks. So thanks for watching, and as always, keep on feeling the spirit.